Kelowna, one of the most beautiful places in the world to live, surrounded by provincial parks, pine forests, vineyards, orchards, and mountains. Wouldn't it be great if there was a podcast about our love of Kelowna? Oh no, it's real. This is I Love Kelowna, an interview-style podcast about the fabulous and fascinating people that make up our great city and the Okanagan. Intimate conversations with entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, creatives, and anyone who has an interesting story to tell about how they're contributing to our wonderful home. This is I Love Kelowna, and here's your host, Luke J. Minkus.
So I'm here today with Bas Lebesque, and he is coming to us from Amsterdam. We've got, looks like a 9-hour time change between us, which is great. It's amazing what we can do with technology today. Bas is a personal coach, and he's got a really interesting story to tell about his life, changes that he's made, including I want to ask him about when he stopped drinking in February 2017. Bas, maybe you could introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, yeah, as you thank you for having me to start with. I am an executive mindset coach, and it took me not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 careers to get here. I started off in hotel management. I had 2 careers in financial markets, and I had an ice cream shop for a very, very short time. But setting that up and then basically giving it away. But through that whole journey, I came to, I started doing my own journey and my own inner work to where I wanted to, what I wanted out of life. And that's how I became a coach, a mindset coach. Because I've realized through the years that, if you want to be connected with your purpose or with your vision, you have to do inner work. That's not always easy. At least it wasn't for me. Some people they seem to be naturally gifted to be connected with that purpose like straight away. But on the other hand, I see a lot of people struggling. It's like, why am I doing this? Why am I here?
Right.
Yeah, a question that started very early in my life when my mother passed away when I was 12. I was really like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Could I have prevented this? Am I being punished? All these questions. I think they're my quest for purpose of life and living a fulfilled life started.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about the ice cream.
Yes.
How did you get into that? Do you love ice cream?
I do love ice cream, but I had I studied hotel management, and I had been working in restaurants when I was a teenager. And then I worked in hotels for 2 years, and then I switched to banking. But when I resigned from a trader, the hospitality industry was still kind of like in the back of my mind. I want to do something with that, and I want to have my own business. And I did a little bit of research and ice cream. I love ice cream, and ice cream business was good. And I was like, okay, so I started up this business together with a business partner, and the process of like designing and thinking and what it was going to be like, that I really liked doing. But then it opened, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I don't see myself like making ice cream and like managing these couple of 16-year-old kids like scooping ice. And I was like, this is a mistake. I need to get out. And I called my business partner and I was like, we need to have a discussion. We need to talk. And I said, I want out, and I just gave it to him and I left. And that was it.
You regret it? Or were you happy, as soon as you did it? As soon as you gave it up,
I mean, of course, it felt as failure at the time, but I'm very happy I didn't pursue that, and I was very happy I let it go, and I was also very happy that I did try that, because I think if I hadn't, I would still have that urge today. It's like, oh, maybe I should try it. Maybe, what would it be like if I had my own little shop? And it just wasn't for me. So it was an expensive lesson, but I can always say, I tried. And, I don't, if I still had that money, it would be in my bank account probably. That doesn't create much happiness or much experience either. So,
right.
No, I'm very happy I did all of it. And now it's just a fun story.
Right. Are you from Netherlands?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're born there, raised there.
Yes. But I mean, I'm born and raised in the south and of the Netherlands. I mean, it's such a small country. Yeah. It's it's
a short train ride to many other countries.
Yes, 2 hours to basically every border. Yeah.
Do most people in Netherlands speak English as well as you?
Yeah. Not as well as I do, but they speak very good English. Yes.
I see. And in 2017, you decided to quit drinking.
Yes.
What was the reason?
It was a journey. I've been drinking socially, and there was always a bit of a lot of peer pressure on drinking. And in the work I was doing, it was like fast paced, but also, after work. So after work, there was always a lot of drinking and entertaining involved. And in 2000, so yeah, basically after my ice cream adventure, I became a consultant, and this is really where I started to change my life. I was working out three times a week before, and I started to do CrossFit, and now I was training 6 times a week. And I had to change my nutrition. I also started training with a personal trainer 3 times a week, and I was competing, and I had done a dry January, and there was periods that I hadn't been drinking for 3 months. And now I've found myself competing in the CrossFit Games. And I wasn't going to drink during that period of time. But I was going on a skiing trip with 10 English guys from England, and they are heavy drinkers. So it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I'll be the only sober one. So there was this other guy that I didn't know. Well, I knew him, but I didn't know that he wasn't drinking at the time. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to drink for a year. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds like a challenge. I've done 3 months, but a year is pretty big. So I was like, okay, let's give it a try. So when I went into that, and 3 months became 6 months, and my friends here in the Netherlands, they were like, the moment this was on the 27th of February that I wouldn't have drank for a year, it's like, we're going to get you so drunk. We're going to get you so drunk. And I was like, that is the most stupidest way to celebrate that you've been sober for a year.
Right.
And I would say, I'm just going to like, I just, it's now so normal for me. I just gave up and, or gave up. I just didn't go back, to drinking. Now I must say that I mean, going through my own journeys and I do have an issue with a perfect score. It's like if I haven't drank for 400 days and I will have one drink, then I will have to do another 400 days and one to be at a better space than I was, when I had that glass. So, there I came to a point where it's like, it's a bit absurd, that I'm like, I need to let go of this perfect score. So I had a drink, and I mean, if I drink 5-10 glasses a year, that would be like it. And I would say I was easily at 10 a week.
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to have a perfect score anymore. And and I also wanted to experience what it would be like if I would have another drink, and I mean,
it's much more powerful when you haven't drank for months. If you have one drink, you get much more of a buzz than if you're drinking every single night.
Oh, yes. Yeah, one glass and you're already like, oh, this is fun.
And when you decided to drink way less or not drink at all, I found whenever I try to go through a dry period that can be a little bit awkward if you're with the same group of people that they go out every night and they drink, and you go to events where people are drinking. And did you find that a little bit challenging at the start?
Yeah. At the start, definitely. There was definitely, the peer pressure. And even at like 40, 45 years old, and I see like even older people like dealing with that peer pressure, and people were telling me I wasn't funny anymore. I was not, they didn't want to hang out with me anymore. That's what they said. They still did, but it's also, it's like, and you see, of course, when people are drinking, they start to change as the night goes on. So now I stay with them for 5 drinks and then I leave, because then conversations go nowhere. And at first, I was really like dealing with fear of missing out or something. It's like, oh my God, they're going to continue to have so much more fun, where I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to go to bed early. I'm so boring. But then, the next day I wake up and I'm full of energy and I love it. I can put all the energy in my workouts, and that's really the trigger for me. And sometimes I explain it to people, like, on average, my days, let's say 7.5, and drinking, even if it's 2 or 3 drinks, will make my day a 7 minus or a 6.5, and I don't want that. It's not that my day goes from a 7.5 to a 2 or a 3, but I just want, I just don't want to, give back or like waste that energy.
Yeah.
So are you drinking now or not?
Well, I've reduced quite a bit.
Okay.
So might have 1 or 2 a week.
Okay.
But I used to be like several every single night, and during the day even.
Okay.
Because I'm a real estate agent, but I've also been, a business owner and worked for myself for most of my life. So I could drink if I wanted to.
Yeah.
All the time. And I started to get heartburn, actually. So it just became uncomfortable. So that would just stop me because it just wasn't fun. And I realized, like you said, like not really missing out on anything. I don't really enjoy the company of people once they've had a couple of drinks because they don't make sense anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. And I have so much more energy the next day. So, yeah, definitely true. So how long have you been a personal coach?
For the last 2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
And how did you get into that?
So I, kind of what I said, after the ice cream business, I started working out on a way different level. I had to look at my nutrition as well because I couldn't do it anymore. But I also came to a point where it's like I want to clean up some past issues, some mental issues that weren't just working for me anymore. One is the biggest thing for me was the relationship with my father. My mother passing away at that age, that creates a whole different dynamic in the in my family between my sister, my father, and myself. But what it basically boiled down to is that I was basically blaming my father for not accepting me for who I am, for my sexuality, but also as a person. I was expecting so much from him, basically. Which wasn't. I don't even think the father I wanted to have even exists. He needed to be so perfect. The perfect score, which we talked about before. But, I started to realize that this had nothing to do with him. He was good, and he did the best he could. But it was all about me not accepting myself, not loving myself, not being proud of myself. And that's, when I started to change that, and when I started to questioning all these beliefs, that whole dynamic with my father changed, and now we have a great relationship. And I'm so happy that I did that work. But so that's one of the mental issues. But there were so many other things that I like limiting beliefs that I have that I wanted to work with. And then people started to come to me and they started saying you should become a coach. And I'd never really considered it. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should give this a try. And now, I wasn't even aware that I was doing it, but I think it was 2016, I went to the School of the Work of Byron Katie. I don't know if you ever heard of her, but doesn't matter. So it's a 9-day intensive, just working around your limiting beliefs. But out of that, afterwards, I started doing these coaching sessions with people that have been to the school as well. And I think I've done like 300 sessions as a coach and as a coachee. And this was all this was free. And that's basically where I set the basis for my coaching. And I really, really enjoyed listening, helping other people. And that's how the journey started. And then I started to get clients, and I went out there, got clients, and the transformation I had with some of my clients was amazing.
Do you have an experience that you're most proud of with your coaching?
Well, what I started to realize, because I mainly work with executives, and some of them they will come to me they wanted to lose weight, but I don't believe in diets. That's not just, it doesn't work. But a lot of them, they don't, their life is so out of balance. They're working 70, 80 hours a week. Their family life is well, I mean, it's not good, whether it's a mess or not, but they just don't have the time to spend any quality time with their partner, with their kids. Exercise, there's no exercise anymore. There's nutrition, it's all through the window. There's too much alcohol. So once I started to realize, once you start to create balance in your life, your body starts to become in balance as well. And like all these people that I worked with, they all lost weight without being on a diet. No pills, no shakes, just like, bring your life into balance and your body will follow. And I mean, the weight would literally fall off. I had clients that were running 20,000 people companies, and they would lose like 20 kilos in 6 months without ever being on a diet. Yeah, and that's just by I really believe, when I work with my clients, I believe in the foundation of sleep, energy, nutrition, and mental and physical health. And you need to maintain all that. And what I do, that does not necessarily work for you, that I go sit in ice cold water 3 times a day. That's not for everybody. That I do CrossFit is also not for everybody. So we'll find something that works for you. And if you find that, and then, it starts to work more and more, and then, the balance will come, and it will be easier to let go of things. And the weight will follow. So, yeah, I mean,
so you mentioned, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned that everybody has limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And I think one of yours was your relationship with your father and his acceptance of you. I think you described it as, when you were younger, you kind of felt like that was the cause of many of your issues, was your father's not being this perfect image of a father. But once you got past that, you were able to make a lot of progress.
Yes.
Did you have other limiting beliefs that held you back that you were able to overcome?
Oh yes, I mean, one of the limiting beliefs probably everybody has is I'm not good enough, and that's that's still there. I mean, there is, I took up acting classes a year and a half ago, and I've always been like so afraid that I can't do this. There's a lot of things I can do, but I cannot do acting. And just by doing so and going there, it's so much fun. I really enjoy it, but I believed I couldn't. And there's also, I mean, other limiting beliefs. When I was a trader, I had created this golden cage. I had good salary, big bonuses, and I wasn't enjoying it, and I really thought that I was going to give that up. I will be living on the street. It's like, there's only like this. There's trading or living on the street, which is
right.
Which is like so insane, but that's really what I believed. And when I got out, I still remember I was taking a flight to Brazil because I was going to spend some time there as kind of a sabbatical, and hoping that my purpose would like present itself. But I the whole flight I couldn't stop crying, and I was like, it's like, what is happening here? And there was so much like energy, I think, that needed to go out. The decision took me 3 years to get out, because I was holding on to my limiting beliefs so much, and I was also like, what's next? Where am I? What disaster am I going to get myself into? So I went, and it was just people like here were saying, if you go to Brazil, they kill you over there. I was like, okay, they're gonna kill me. Which is, I never really believed that, but I was like, what what do people think, of this place? But yeah.
So how do you deal with limiting beliefs? Like, do you just do the thing that you're afraid of? Is it that simple?
No, I mean, if you like the limiting belief I had with my father, that took me 6 months to intensive work to get over it, and it really is like you sit with it. It's kind of a it's like, first of all, you identify what you believe, and then you just start to question it. It's like, okay, is this really true? That he does. Let's say he doesn't accept me. I have no proof for that, but that's what I believe. So you sit with it, and you're like, okay, what happened? This is what Byron Katie does, and really works for me. It's like, so what happens when you have this belief? You go into this crazy narrative, and you relive all the fights from big to small, and you'd be like in this negative spiral. And then it's like, so who would I be if I would not have that thought or that belief? And then it's be like, I'm talking to you, or I'm sitting on my couch at home. My father is not even here. Why am I living this like ridiculous thing? Or I'm just walking outside. The sun is on my skin. I feel it's great. And you start to like build a different pattern. And also, one of the things that she does is like she is the turnarounds. It's like, it's like do the opposite of what you believe. Turn it around. It's like, I don't accept him, or I don't accept myself, or I don't accept my thinking, or I don't accept what is happening. And then, come up with examples. And then, it's clearly, you start to look at yourself. For me, in this case, I'm not accepting myself. Okay, where am I not accepting myself? What will happen if I work on that? What will happen if I start to tell a new story? And that's
so some are easier to overcome than others, and the one with your father took you 6 months, you said. So some I guess are much simpler.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've worked with clients, for example, that say, I only sleep 5 hours a night. I've been doing that for 45 years. It's like, that will never change. And we change it in a week.
Right.
Like, of course you're not going to sleep more than 5 hours tonight, because you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, I had a shit night. Tonight is going to happen. The same thing is going to happen, because that's been happening for 45 years. So of course that's going to happen, because that's what you're setting yourself up for in the morning. Now, can you believe that you can sleep 6 hours tonight? Oh, yeah, maybe I could. It's like, okay, well, try to open yourself up and be curious and see if you can, and whether it happens or not doesn't matter, but just be open. So, okay, in 1 week she sleeps 6 hours a night, where she like before for 40. If I hadn't said to her, it's like, can you believe that you can sleep 6 hours a night? I say, yeah. So now, and then of course, my next question is, now do you believe that you sleep 7 hours a night? No, that's too much. That's too much. I say, okay. So I spoke to her this morning, and she's like, we had a big weather change here, and it's really, really cold here. It's never this cold, and we have a lot of snow, which you usually don't have. And she's like, no, the weather changed. The weather changed. Since the weather changed, I'm sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours a night. I was like, so why, if the weather is, the weather, that's the story, that's the belief. You can sleep. You've proven to me that you can sleep 7, 8 hours a night. This is like a small thing, It's also, I've worked with another client, and he never cooked. Mm-hmm. And he was just eating takeaway food. And I just, you want to give it a try. And he's like, yeah, I'll give it a try. And now he's like sending me all these pictures. He's like, he found a new thing. But, he's now, it came from a point where he wasn't connected to food. He was just like grabbing things. And I started to question that. And it's like, you have no relationship to food. You don't know what you're eating. You don't know how many calories you're taking, and I don't, as I said, I don't believe in diets, but you need to have some basic knowledge about what is calorie dense and what is not calorie dense food. And if you just keep putting stuff in your mouth, you don't know what it is. So yeah, he thought he couldn't cook, but he's he almost, he became a better chef than I was, or I am. It's like, okay, that's very impressive, and it's so much fun, and he loves it, and he's taking care of his he has a small son, and it's like fast forward, and that's the beauty of this work. If you sleep more, you have better relationships. You're less moody. This is just simple. And if you're less moody at work, you don't know what is going to open up.
Mm-hmm. So
you close the deal, you get a promotion, you get, you have more fun with your colleagues, you are more creative. And that's,
Very true. Very true. Can you think of a situation or a person that had the biggest impact in your life, Baz?
I would say my mother. Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the way she chose to die. I mean, she did euthanasia, which was back then still illegal in this country, and she did that with her GP. But just like as a 38-year-old mother with 2 children, and that's what you choose, that shows shows enormous strength in a way to me. And it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't an easy, it was not an easy way out, it was she just didn't want to like do the final, like, how do you say that? I mean, like where you have absolutely no control anymore, and she already stretched it, when she was diagnosed, it's at 6 months, but it ended up being 2 years. But it was, she was like, I don't have to go like that last week, I don't need to experience that.
Right. So she was quite sick.
Oh yeah. She had cancer. So that was, for me, that's so, that showed so much power. And I mean, up till now, I haven't lived up to that power yet. So that's, in a way, it's weird, but it's also very inspirational and she was very open about it. It's not, there was never a secret around her sickness in our house. where I know, I mean, I've heard of some children that went through the same thing. They were just basically told, mom is going to the hospital. She's not so well, but she'll be back. And then boom, all of a sudden she's dead.
Yeah.
And these kids are like, well, they had their own struggles. But I mean, yeah, honesty has always been I've always appreciated that. And that's, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely not. Do you have a personal breakthrough throughout your life that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I think letting go of my trading position and the status that I contributed to that.
Mm-hmm. If you said you had a fear that you couldn't make a living,
yes,
without doing that, you'd be on the street if you didn't keep doing that.
Yes,
that was a big step to.
Yeah, it's like, and I see that with a lot of my clients as well. They think they can only do that one thing that they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but you're so much more creative, and you have so many more talents than just that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But having to step down one step is already like it's complete failure. Where it's not the case. I mean, that's just one example. You can make a side step, you can make a step up, and that's
Interesting.
So that's that created a lot of freedom, and that also, like, I went into other careers that weren't as successful as I hoped. But it became a lot easier to say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. No,
mm-hmm.
I'm done with this assignment. I'm going to go, and that means I have no income for the next 3-6 months. That's fine. I mean, I have taken care of that, but yeah, I could, but yeah, that's exactly, it's just,
sorry,
go for it.
Please. You were saying that creates.
Yeah, it just creates freedom and independence, and that's really what I long for. And I also, now with COVID, this is not possible, but I really, I want to start back into living, living and working location independently. So I want to be able to pick up my bags and just say, I go to Canada for 3 months and just work from there, live from there, and explore, and then maybe do another place, and just like, yeah.
Nice, very nice. Do you have anything in your life that you would consider a big failure?
Yeah, maybe that I've never had a long-term relationship. And whether that is
that something you would like to have?
I would have loved to have the experience and to be able to say, okay, this is for me, or this isn't really for me. It's not now. It's not happening. Do I? Is it hard for me being single? No. It's I'm very happy with the way I live, the way I work, the people around me. But just, yeah, it never happened. And I think there were some limiting beliefs around that as well when I was younger. That it had to be perfect, and that kind of kept me from having having a long-term relationship. Am I ready for that now? Yes. If it happens, it's fine. If it doesn't, it's fine too. But yeah.
Interesting.
That's something I would have loved to experience.
You're still very young.
Yes, it still can happen. I know.
Right. There's still time. So when it comes to coaching, I know there's a lot of myths. People have ideas about what coaching involves, and there's some myths. What have you experienced? What is some of the myths about coaching that people think that's not really true?
God, that's a good question. I've never really encountered any myths. Well, one of the things, maybe that's one. The people that start working with me, they don't believe. But that's then a limiting belief again, that they can do the work and that it can be so easy. The other day, I was talking to one of my clients, and I normally do 3-month programs, and we were in week 7, and I was like, I asked her, would you have believed that you would be here in 3 months' time? And she's like, oh, that would have never, I didn't even think it was possible. I said, but you did it in 7 weeks, not in 3 months, but you thought you weren't even going to achieve it in 6 or 12 months, but you did it in 7 weeks. So what's next? And then, you see them like, oh, is there more? Of course there's more. We can always take it a step further. They also think that it's a lot of hard work, but it's the way I work. It isn't, it's really like minimum efforts, maximum results. We start tweaking here and there a little bit, and that's just like, that will create a huge shift. And then the transformation happens. And then they all say, I never want to go back, which is, that's cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. So you've lived in 8 countries on 5 different continents.
Yes.
I think that there's only 5 continents, right?
No, Australia and New Zealand is a continent.
Right. So what do you have a favorite? And did you have one place that you hated that you would never go back?
Oh, well, first I went to, the first experience I had abroad was to the United States. I really liked the United States. I would love to go back, certain parts, but fine. Second place I went to was Shanghai in 1996, when China was still China, and Shanghai wasn't the metropole it is right now. And I went there and I worked 100 hours a week, and I said, I'll never, ever go back to this shithole. I hated it. 100 hours. I started at 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And then I had a 2-hour break, and then I went then I worked from 6 till midnight, 6 days a week. And on Sunday I slept.
Was that financial business?
No, that was in a hotel. And I was smoking 2 packs of cigarette a day. Just like, it was insane. It was insane. And if I look back on it now, it's like, why did I not say after 3 months, I'm out? I'm not doing this. This is bullshit. Sorry for my French, but this is ridiculous. This is insane. Yeah. But I was like, no, you signed a contract. You have to finish that contract. I I'm sure you'll know that I don't do that anymore. But so yeah, I decided I was never going to go back. But then it started to open up, and more people went there, and it really, I mean, it changed so much. I haven't seen a place on the planet that has changed so much in such a short period of time. So I went back, and I did kind of enjoy it, but never to work again.
Right.
So the only continent I haven't lived on is Africa. But I mean, Africa is like so diverse. If you compare the north to the middle and the south, it's like three different continents, I think. But so I hopefully I'll end up spending some time there as well, because that will be very interesting. I lived in Brazil for 6 months, which I really, really loved. Definitely want to go back there. I think Asia, I'm done. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to go back there to live. No.
Right.
No.
You have a free online workshop still. It's called How to Create Balance and Keep It. Do you still do that?
I still do that, but it's I've renamed it a little bit. It's more about the weight loss by creating balance, and then the weight loss will come by itself. We're creating like balance in your body. That's next week on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Amsterdam time.
Okay.
So yeah, I still do that. So it's a little bit changed, but it still deals with balance and the foundation I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm. What's the best way for people to find out more about your coaching?
They can come to my website, which is bosslebesque.com. I'm sure you put it somewhere in the notes with my name. And they can come to my LinkedIn page, same name, and all my details are there, my phone number, my email. They can reach me. And then the first session is on me.
Beautiful. That's great. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I wish we could keep going. And you've had a fascinating life, super interesting, and so much interesting experience. And hopefully some of our listeners will connect with you.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you, Luke.
You too, Bas.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can connect again in the future.
Yes, anytime.
Luke Menkes is a realtor. He loves what he does. We asked Luke if he had any regrets about moving here in 2011, and he always says, yeah, one regret, and that is he didn't move here sooner. When Luke came here, he didn't know anyone. He didn't know the neighborhoods or anything or anyone besides his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. So he knows what it's like. Now, he's an expert and has helped well over 100 single people, couples, families, and investors with their real estate needs in the Okanagan. If you're new to our beautiful city, Luke can help you get connected with great lawyers, dentists, carpenters, landscapers, swimming pool installers, you name it. And whether you're new to Kelowna or not, Luke knows real estate. He can help you find a great property, negotiate a good deal, and hold your hand all the way through the process until the day you get your shiny new set of keys. Luke is known as a no-pressure kind of guy. He's had clients where it took even a year or more to get them into a property. He just doesn't believe in rushing things. On the other hand, when you decide it's time to act, he's diligent, and he'll work day and night until the job is done. Give Luke Menkes a call or a text message at any time, 778-215-4273. Again, that's 778-215-4273. 778-215-4273 to chat with Luke about real estate.